Welcome back. Oh, and another thing, your favorite news and politics podcast. Got you again. Got her again. Welcome back. Really exciting day on the pod. We're here under a new administration. We're here to... We're not going to say celebrate because we have to be unbiased, straightforward, hard-nosed, journalistic integrity podcast. Oh, and another thing. However, it is very chill. Some could say chill AF to be living under a Biden administration.
It is incredibly chill.
Incredibly chill AF to be living under a Joe Biden administration right now.
Dead ass, pretty chill.
I'd have to say it is pretty chill, pretty cool.
Cap. I'd have to even add a no cap to that.
Wow.
Frankly, I'm not even capping about this.
They're cringing at home. Bert is cringing right here on the couch. Bert literally cringed.
Bert is cringing live. I'm sorry, buddy.
Once you did the no cap thing, Bert went.
Shudders.
Too funny. Again, as you can see, we are in good spirits. We're here under the guise of progress. We are here. We are here to get caught up on a new, better week. It's been 2 days. We've had okay. Welcome back on another thing. Your host Vince Petrone, Bertrand Beans with us, Giovanna here fact checking us, keeping us on the beaten path. One of my favorite terms, beaten path. My mom used to say beaten path. Probably still says beaten path. Always talked about beaten paths. Anyway, long story short, one of my favorite terms. Giovanna's here to keep us on said path. If you like the pod, you can check us out here. You can check out our old pods on Spotify, on Podbean, on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us, own another thing, subscribe to us, own another thing, subscribe to us. We are on YouTube. You can get a nice link on YouTube, so if you're catching up on your favorite unboxing videos, you're watching your favorite lifestyle blogs, what have you.
What are you talking about?
YouTube. I don't know what happens on YouTube still. I know I'm on there. I know you're on there. I know you're big on YouTube and everything.
Conspiracy theories.
You're catching up on your theories. Add us to your list for YouTube listening and watching. Anyway, diving on in here, we've had a really exciting week. We had the inauguration of the 46th president, Joseph Robinette Biden, to celebrate. All right, bottomless baskets of fries for everybody. No, it's just exciting. It's nice. Okay, so we got through the week before inauguration. Well, I guess since insurrection to inauguration was a very, very tense time for all of us. I know we were pretty convinced something might happen at any given moment.
We were very worried.
Very worried, since we're here in the Big Apple. I don't know if you saw that they did find a couple of terror plots in the Big Apple leading up to the day. One from I believe an ex-military person who promised to do some Capitol violence. But we were worried. Inauguration day came, and without a hitch, we had a day full of pageantry, excitement, optimism, hope, QAnon tears, which nothing better than a bunch of Q supporters realizing they were fucking wrong. I was on Twitter and there was people sharing the Telegram app, which is really funny. There was no place left for these people to go, so they went to the Slack channel that my work uses because we don't want to have a Slack channel for some reason. I digress. So on Telegram, everybody was talking about how they felt duped. How big a letdown it was that Joe Biden didn't get arrested by the National Guard for his crimes, or didn't. This was another scenario I guess they thought was going to happen, and it's just so bonkers. I don't want to talk about it, but the theories are just so bonkers and stupid. They thought Joe Biden was going to go up to the podium. 33% of people polled on this Telegram poll. Someone get me off the internet. Someone stop me from viewing one more fucking second of internet content. 33% of people polled in this Telegram poll that I found on Twitter were expecting that Joe Biden would go up to the podium on his inauguration day and admit to crimes against the United States, step down, and award Donald Trump the presidency. People thought that was going to happen. Enough people thought it was going to happen, that there's like a movement for this thing. And we talk about how dangerous Q is, and we talk about how dangerous the people who follow Q can be, because we've seen what they can do whenever they get together and are allowed to do whatever they want, and are assisted by different members of the House of Representatives. Shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we now know led a large tour a few days before the insurrection. Apparently she had one of the largest tours some of these representatives had ever seen with her. She took a huge tour group through the Capitol, and then days later there's a massive insurrection. People are saying there could be some connections there. But we're not really here to talk much about that today. Again, we're just here to talk about the inauguration, what's happening now, what executive orders Joe Biden has put forward, and talk about how much good has been done in just a few days. And it's mostly just been undoing the bad of Donald Trump's administration. Inauguration day, I was working. I had it on the espresso machine. I was making drinks. I had a really busy day, actually, at work that day, so I didn't really get to keep up as much as I had thought I would. I figured, inauguration day. These folks are going to be at home making their own eggs. Turns out they like our eggs quite a bit, so had a lot to do. Had a lot to do with that. A lot of coffees made, a lot of matchas served. So I didn't get to watch much of the inauguration. I know the fans loved it, and we do actually have our own in-house inauguration expert.
Wait.
If she's available.
I'm available.
If she's available, okay, get on over here. Catch us up on what we missed. Take us through the whole entire day. We want to know everything.
See?
I don't know if we can find room. I'll just slide out. I'll slide out.
All right, folks.
Introduce
which camera am I looking at here? Which camera? Oh, we don't have a camera. It's all audio. All right.
All audio.
I'm sorry. I'm more of a visual medium person. I thought I was already introduced. My name is Giovanna. I watched the inauguration. Point blank. Period. That's what happened to me on Wednesday. I saw most of it. I saw definitely like most of it. I know I went to the bathroom at one point when the preacher came out, so I did miss part of that. I'm sorry, but yeah. What do you want to?
Sorry to the Lord for missing his.
Sorry to the Lord for peeing during his segment. I really had to go. I really had to go to the bath. Well, as we talked about earlier, they swore in the president earlier than they normally do. I guess typically.
We were expecting it.
I guess typically it happens at 12:01. That's like pretty standard of when the new president is sworn in. But they swore him in a little early, and I had to pee around 11:30, and all of a sudden they swear in Kamala Harris, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta wait for this. And then they swear in Biden, like, pretty much right after. So, you have so many notifications on YouTube. You gotta check those. You have 102 notifications. What do you think that's about? Can I click on it?
No, don't click on it.
Okay. It's distracting for me. Oh, dang it. I'm blowing it. Okay, so it was a good inauguration, right? The performance is outstanding. Lady Gaga performs the national anthem. It's the best performance. No, I don't want to say that because Whitney Houston gave a really good national anthem. But Lady Gaga did a really good national anthem. She was dressed like the Hunger Games. We all loved it. And then J-Lo sang... They had a lot of performances lined up. Then J-Lo sang some patriotic songs, but she also threw in a verse of her song, Let's Get Loud, which was everything. I loved it.
It's funny how... It's funny how A-Rod and J-Lo find a way to wedge themselves into literally every part of our lives and have been doing so for like the past 3 years. That's all I'm going to say. All right,
it was funny. I don't think it was like, oh, how rude. It was just kind of like funny and like everybody like gasps. Everybody in my apartment being Bert and I. But I thought that was funny. Garth Brooks gave me everything I needed. He burst through the doors. Like they said on What a Day yesterday, like he was walking into a saloon.
Like a saloon. I was going to say, he did it as if he was walking into a saloon.
It's supposed to be a black tie affair, but my boy Garth did wear blue jeans. But, I mean, what else did you expect? He had a big buckle on his pants. He had a cowboy hat on. He gave a beautiful rendition of Amazing Grace. He asked us at home to sing along, and... viewer, listener, I did sing along. Because when my man Garth asks you to take the last verse of Amazing Grace, you take the last verse of Amazing Grace. Even Bert got in on the fun. He gave us a Mow Wow. It was very kind. I'm assuming you didn't bring me here to talk about the performances, though.
No, that's exactly why I brought
You did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was hoping you could tell us about the
The
performances.
performances were all great, and then Amanda Gorman read her poem, which was absolutely beautiful. She did such a good job, youngest poet ever. Who else spoke? Char did a good job emceeing. It was pretty funny.
I really enjoyed Amy Klobuchar's presence over the past few days, because not only did she did a very solid job
She did a great
emceeing,
job
'cause those
emceeing, yeah.
The sad thing about all of this is those are the only parts I caught. Was whenever Amy Klobuchar would be doing her tight 2 or her tight 3.
2.
And then I've also enjoyed watching Amy Klobuchar's rivalry with Pete Buttigieg.
That's been fun.
Boil and boil it more and more every day. Like, I don't know if her book just came out. Did you see her book's called Antitrust? And Pete's book is called Trust.
That's really fun. I didn't know that.
And then there was a back and forth during Pete's confirmation yesterday, because I think Pete got confirmed as Secretary of Transportation. And she said something about how excited she was for the nomination, but it wasn't. It was definitely a little backhanded or something.
What is her? Does she have a position in the cabinet? What is she?
Not in the cabinet, but she's
like. Why was she there?
She's head of something. I don't remember what that title is right now.
Okay.
Chair of some. Char's the chair of something.
The chair of cheer. The chair of cheer. Is that in the
confirmation
Grinch? The
committee
chair
or
of cheer.
something? I don't know, but. I don't know why she got to MC. I don't know who they choose to MC the inauguration. Maybe they just figured she's the funniest. Because I will say that we know Amy Klobuchar, notoriously hard-nosed and not exactly a great presidential candidate, can be funny.
She can be funny.
Can turn it on from time to time. I mean, we quote her more than any of the other presidential candidates. We're always screaming about the goddamn wind cave.
Now on my bucket list is to go to the wind cave.
Goddamn wind cave.
No, but it was a good inauguration. Everybody was dressed to the nines. There was a big monochromatic theme. Everyone had monochromatic outfits on. Michelle Obama looked amazing. Jill Biden looked amazing. Kamala Harris looked amazing. Everybody just, looked good. Bernie looked amazing.
I want to say, so you're talking about how everybody dressed great. How all these people were dressed to the nines, wearing these
their glamorous
outfits.
coats on.
But whose outfits do we remember most from this inauguration? Garth Brooks' blue jeans and Bernie Sanders' all-season jacket.
See, our Twitters are very different because my Twitter strongly remembers... Oh, no, we are recording. My Twitter strongly remembers Michelle Obama's outfit and Kamala's outfit and Joe Biden's outfit. So everyone's outfits were very memorable for the most part.
So take that.
Yeah. So now Bernie, obviously, he had the memeable outfit, but everybody's outfits were incredibly memorable. I'm trying to think of what else happened. It was cool to be able to see it, because I know typically when the inauguration is in person, I don't know if it's streamed.
Oh yeah, no, you can always see it.
I mean, the thing is, the last time a new president that I was excited about was sworn in was in 2008, and I was in the 8th grade, so I had school that day.
Yeah.
But, so this is, the first one I've been able to watch. So, I mean, I don't know how it typically is, but I did enjoy getting to see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. The stream I watched was from the JCCIC. I forget what that stands for, but they're the people that, hosted the inauguration. So they had 2 tour guides of the White House hosting it, and they were giving us a lot of behind the scenes stuff of what goes on in the White House, where they were. They all came out of the crypt, which was kind of funny. That's what it was called. Everyone was emerging from the crypt, and they had the shoot, which was all fun. We got to see parts of the White House, which was kind of cool. It was just a nice day. I mean, it's a lot of pomp and circumstance, but I felt like they did their best to not do too much pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
I know they normally have a ball, and they didn't have the ball.
Have the full-on ball.
So
I enjoyed the Hank segment though, because this is about whatever. I mean, an inauguration's an inauguration. I mean, Biden's speech was good. I know people have said his speech was nice.
Speech.
You can stay in. Are you gonna stay here?
Yeah.
Okay. No, his speech was good. I saw the speech. I've been catching snippets of the speech. It wasn't.
It reminded me of we were watching a segment of people talking about Obama's inauguration in 2009.
I'll listen.
Okay, well, they're picking that up on there.
That's
He's
okay.
spraying the plants while I'm speaking. But they were talking about Obama's inauguration in 2009 and how obviously he took office in the middle of a big recession and like things were not good. Most people were not happy with the way the country was going. And his speech was pretty like kind of depressing, almost like depressing, but hopeful. Like he came in acknowledging where we were and where he wanted to go. He didn't do this like toxic positivity as we like to talk about on Instagram a lot, you know, people just being like, you just gotta be hopeful, you just have to choose to be happy. Like, and I felt like Biden did the same thing where he came in and acknowledged like we're not in a good place right now and people are very much hurting, and he's not here to say like everything's gonna be better immediately. Like he was pretty like to the point about it's going to take some time, but he had a line where he said like his entire soul is in this and like he is determined to help us get out of it, and he's going to do everything he can with the resources he has to do that. And he had a message of unity, but it also, I thought it was a good message of unity because I was a little worried it was going to be like both sides need to just come together and hold hands and forgive each other, and he didn't do that. He just really gave the unity message of being like, if you voted for me, that's great. If you didn't vote for me, I'm still gonna help your life. So that's good, you know. And he talked about working with people on all sides and how that's always been his strength, is to, it felt like less of like both sides forgiving each other and more like, I'm gonna be good at getting Republicans to do things. Like, yeah, I don't know how to phrase it.
It's not. Too. Yeah, no, it was good that he didn't go full like, no, we're gonna change minds and paint the hearts of Americans red, white, and blue. Like, I'm glad he didn't take that.
That's it.
That like he could have done that and said like promise these sweeping bipartisan reforms and stuff, and like he said that we need to unite. But I think whenever we talk about unity now, it's important to remember that we're not talking about unity in the sense of like, or we shouldn't be, because it's not a reality of unity within our Congress, unity within our governing ranks, because I think the discourse, our own personal discourse, has moved us too far away from that, and it's kind of seeped into our lawmaking now. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with lawmakers being hard to the left or hard to the right on anything, though being hard to the right usually leads to authoritarianism, and as we have shown, it can become dangerously close to that, which was also a very nice underlying theme of Biden's inaugural. I thought
that was more like the unity message he was going for was like, he mentioned the insurrection that happened, and he mentioned how like all Americans should be disgusted by that, and like we should as a country not let that happen again. And acknowledge that was, he said, you know, he mentioned white supremacy in his speech, which everyone was kind of like, I feel like crediting him a little too much for. I know it's the first time it's ever been mentioned, but like it would have been shitty if he didn't mention it. You know,
it's front and center right now, as we saw like last Wednesday. Two Wednesdays ago.
Yeah,
regardless, not that long ago. Not long enough ago at all. What were we saying?
His unity message.
Oh, the unity message. So it's not so much about like that happening and being bipartisan. I think he knows that's not going to happen, and we'll talk about what likely will have to happen for a lot of his policies to get passed here in the next little bit. But I think the unity is more so just about getting the discourse back to a manageable place so we can actually have real conversations about things again.
Well, he kept doing a good job of bringing it back to like, the pandemic is the biggest concern we have right now. Its effect on the economy, its effect on people's lives, like, and he kept driving home that being like his mission coming into this. And I think that's smart, because I think that's what people like my mom probably want to hear. I think that's what a lot of people who maybe aren't super engrossed in politics the way that we are, but people who just like want to know how this is going to affect them and what he's going to do that will change their everyday lives. And I think that's what they want to hear. I know that's something that people I know who weren't super staunchly for Biden, but also didn't like Trump, ended up saying, like, you know, this is the person I want representing us going forward to handle the pandemic. And I'm hopeful that they can do something about it. So I think that was smart of him to just keep bringing it back to that. That was more the unity message was to say, like, this pandemic has affected all of us. And going forward, I'm going to handle it. I don't know.
So he's going to work for all of us. That was the unity he was talking about. And that's what it was. 'Cause I think he knows he's not going to change Mitch McConnell's mind on anything, or I just got a Washington Post notification.
What?
We'll see. Nothing that affects the pod right now, so we'll keep moving on from that. No, but it was a good speech. It was it wasn't the most, like we said, it wasn't the most like annoyingly patriotic, which was good because annoyingly patriotic can suck.
There's nothing totally groundbreaking in it. It was just a good neutral speech.
And there's a lot of people, I think, that voted for Joe Biden or excited about Joe Biden or were just so sick of Trump because they just don't want to hear about everything anymore. I think there's a lot of people out there that just don't want to hear about it anymore and are just ready for things to be regular. I'm regular in quotes again. Regular is not necessarily better in this case. But I think there's a lot of people who were just tired of hearing about Trump and hearing from Trump that they were just like, fuck it, I'm so sick of Trump, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. And then hearing that incredibly un-Trumpiness, that message of working for us, not working against a group of people for a group of other people, there was just none of that to it. The traditional Trump speech wasn't there, and it just felt nice, and everything has just felt so nice. And I know there's a lot of work to be done, and it's not going to be, nothing's ever normal. Normal wasn't good before, necessarily. There was a lot of oppression, a lot of societal problems that we just never addressed that were bubbling to the surface and came to the surface, and now they all need to be faced, and they will be faced, and we're just hoping that Joe Biden is the person to do it. So that is that on Inauguration Day. It was a fun night. They had a lot of fireworks. They had some good music. Bruce Springsteen performed, and I have to say I wish Bruce, and I know the song he played, I think, was a song that Biden used in his campaign, I think. I just wish Bruce would play the old stuff sometimes, Some of the new stuff can be a little stereotypical, Like if they took what people thought Born in the USA was about and turned it into his whole songwriting method. I feel like that's kind of what a lot of Bruce's new stuff has turned into. And that's nothing against Bruce. I love Springsteen. I just sometimes wish he would go up there and give us a nice good old-fashioned... play Thunder Road. Play something off Thunder Road. Give us something.
Bon Jovi did a good job.
Jovi did a good job. You know what I kind of like that Bon Jovi did? Bon Jovi didn't play his own song. Bon Jovi did a cover. And I think that's the kind of venue that facilitates a good cover. I think a good cover. Yeah.
Cover too. I thought those were some of the most fun performances.
I think a cover is best made for a flowery pageantry performance. A standard, something everybody knows.
May I yank your chain for a moment, sir?
Yank it.
What did you think of Katy Perry's performance of Firework? I know you've been looking for a platform to speak about this, so.
It's just every time a firework goes off, we don't need Katy Perry singing about it behind said firework going off. It's one of these things that we've been doing for literally a decade now. It's been, can you check when that song actually came out? Let me get an actual date on that, because since the day that song came out, not a firework has gone off, not a commemorative moment, graduation, dance, song, any event has gone off without this song playing. 2010. We've been dragging Katy Perry out to sing a song that she wrote in 2010 for 10 fucking years now. It's time to stop doing it. I know she probably gets paid handsomely. It's gotta suck for her. It has to suck for her. It's like, imagine if a band wrote a good song, because there's a lot of bands that have written good songs. Losing My Religion, for perfect example. Who wrote Losing My Religion? I can't think. It's not REM, is it? No.
I was getting compared to Creep by Radiohead.
Creep by Radiohead.
It is REM.
Okay, Creep by Radiohead. Both those bands don't really play that song at concerts because they hate playing that fucking song at concerts because it's the one everybody wants to hear and they get requested all the time and they hate fucking playing it. But those are good songs. Those are legitimately good songs. Imagine if you had to go out and sing some flowery bullshit pop song every day for the rest of your life for 10 years. For any time.
Kind of from the beginning of her career, too.
I know. And that's the other thing about these artists. Like, those are songs at the beginning of their careers, and it's like, let us play something good for you. I know I was just saying the opposite for Bruce Springsteen. That's because Bruce Springsteen's new music isn't great. It's a little boring. Putting it out there. But, I don't know. Just imagine having to be Katy Perry and go out every time the government wants to do a fireworks show. Every time fucking Rob Kraft needs to hold a trophy up.
I wish I could have recorded your visceral reaction when she went.
Because you knew it was coming. Because you knew it was coming. They were winding it up all night on MSNBC. They kept putting it in the Chiron or the Chiron on the bottom. Up next, it would be a couple acts, and it would be Katy Perry. And all night, I was like, they're going to put some fucking fireworks up, and it's got to be Katy Perry, and I'm going to have to sit here and watch Katy Perry sing Firework, and I'm going to hate it again. And right at the end, there's Katy Perry singing fucking Firework again. It's just, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of Firework. There has to be something else we can play. I know I should have made an alternate playlist. Oh, wait, that's fucking right. I did. Go to my Spotify.
I didn't realize you made a playlist.
I made a playlist with this half intent. The playlist I made yesterday was nothing but jams. Nothing but jams.
Nothing but jams.
Better than anything that we've heard that Katy Perry has done. Go to my Spotify, look at the playlist. Oh, what is this? A bunch of jams or something?
Is that the name of the playlist?
That's the name of the playlist. Turn it on. Way better. Way better for a fireworks display. And, like, it was just such a nice night. And they ended it with fucking Firework again. We don't have to do this. We don't have to keep doing it. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's all I'm going to say. It's just every time. Every time. There's no one else we do that to. I mean, aside from Queen with We Are the Champions.
Yeah.
And that's another one I'm also sick of. I don't want to hear We Are the Champions anymore. I gotta say, you people also ruined Queen for me. I used to like Queen, but then the movie came out. Fucking hate Queen now. You guys overplayed it and ruined it. You ruined Queen for me. Ugh, anyway, they were never really my favorite band. Trying to think who would be my favorite band. Because I really hate popular music. I really only like Avenged Sevenfold. Who's a bad band other than Avenged Sevenfold? I'm trying to think of bad bands. Like, in that vein.
Korn?
People like Korn, though.
People like Avenged Sevenfold, too?
Yeah, people that like Korn are aggressive. People like Avenged Sevenfold wear a lot of wristbands.
My cousin liked Korn, and he turned out to be a gross conservative.
See, exactly. Anyway, Norah Jones? Everybody likes Norah Jones. We'll move on. Anyway, so what's happened?
How dare you say it?
I know. I was just joking. I'm trying to rally you up over there. So what's happened since inauguration? Well, even in the waning hours of inauguration day, before Katy Perry ruined the whole fucking day, Joe Biden signed some executive orders, 17 of them, that did and undid a lot of things. Let me pull up my little listy here. Okay, here we go. So this is from our good friends at CNN who provided us this list. Boy, I'm lost here. Boy, somebody give me the papers. Anybody got the papers? So we're back in the Paris Climate Accord. Very exciting. We're back in the WHO. Very exciting. We've ended the Muslim travel ban. Very exciting. Boy. I had a whole list here. I should have written it down. Anyway, he signed a bunch of executive orders that undid a lot of things in the Trump administration that made people the most upset right off the bat, mostly the travel ban being one of them. He did a couple of things that are going to be big for the coronavirus, and he signed another one today aimed at making food assistance more available and available to more people, so that way more people who are going hungry right now because of the economic repercussions of coronavirus will be able to eat. We'll be able to eat and have dinners and lunches, perhaps even. So that's really fucking great news. It's just little things like that have been happening over the past 2 days legislatively and by executive order that just feel nice. It's just a nice thing that's happening. We haven't had anything like that in years. It's all been, for the past 4 years, it's been legislation and executive orders created to put kids in cages, give money to billionaires. Why can't I think of anything right now? Make it harder for people to get their assistance. In the past 4 years, we've seen less people be able to get food assistance and SNAP benefits because the Trump administration wanted it that way. There are so many little executive orders that happened over the past 4 years that we forget about, and someday there'll be a list of, and I'm sure there is a list of right now already, that we'll look back on and we'll say, wow, what terrible things to do over the course of 4 years to just make things terrible for more people, and just to do it so slowly over time. Just painful and easy to see why it was the reigning effect over our lives for 4 years. For some of us, I know it shouldn't have probably been the reigning effect for so many of us, but there was just so much happening all the time. It's just nice not to have him around. And I have to say the deplatforming of Donald Trump has been maybe one of the most impressive things to happen in the age of Trumpism, if you will, in its effectiveness. I think we saw a stat that since they removed Trump from Twitter and all the other platforms, that misinformation has gone down 90% since they've removed some of these accounts, and they've removed a lot of these people that feel and say they're being canceled and censored. That's because they were lying to people to kind of ruin the democratic state of the country for one reason or another, be it because Russia wanted them to do it or because there was some profit to be made off of it at a point. Which is something Biden talked about in his inaugural also, was people that made money off the lies. And I mean, I guess you could, as they were deducting on Pod Save this afternoon or this morning or whenever we listened to it, you could assume maybe that was aimed at, you just scared the bejesus out of Bert. Bless you, but Bert's literally up now. Bert was in a dead sleep.
Bert, I'm sorry. I don't want to.
Oh, that was really funny. Anyway, but no, it's just been over the past, even just 2 days, the things that have been happening in the White House have been so much more hopeful, less cynical, more optimistic, more garnered to help people and make it easier for people to survive what's happening around them right now than anything we'd seen in the past 4 years. So it's been nice, and we had that wonderful first press briefing. It's weird to say that about a press briefing with Jen Psaki, where she just didn't yell at anybody. She didn't lie. She didn't say anything that would lead to a follow-up question that could get her in a whole bunch of trouble with her answer. Like, it was just, and dare I say, and I'm sick of hearing the other pundits say it, but the normalcy, just the striking normalcy of it all feels great. And I don't like saying that, but it's just been nice. One thing that hasn't been nice is the same people posting a lot of, I'm gonna take a shot at your friend Mindy Kaling here, because she did one. My 5-year-old daughter. The lies. The blatant lies. My 3-year-old son said, "Father, that is a man of integrity on my screen, and I recognize it." With that, I wept.
And my 3-year-old can recognize that.
I know people were, and this is a little sidebar here, we're talking about how they were worried about the tweets being bad, and the tweets were bad, but the tweets could have been a lot worse, so good day. Not substantial to what we're talking about now, but a little bit anyway. So that's happening. There's been a lot of good already coming out of it, and it's just been nice. It was nice to wake up this morning and they're talking about how Biden's going to be having a presser here at noon or something. I think around noon time. Probably coming up here in the next few minutes. We'll check Twitter. To talk about the executive orders he's signing, what's next, how... And he's talked to us about the coronavirus in plain terms, but for every time I've heard that Biden is speaking, I didn't get that, oh shit, what's going to happen, anxiety feeling I had over the past 4 years. And it was more euphoric than anything I have probably felt in the past few months. It was such a nice feeling to just not be worried about a press conference. Just so nice. To just not be worried about what the president was going to say for even 5 minutes. And he hasn't even said...
Not worry that what the president says is going to incite a riot.
Yes.
To incite violence.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice. Then obviously there was the... we'll talk about the send-off at the end here. Have we talked about all the Biden stuff I want to talk about? No, I want to talk about the Defense Production Act. Biden invoked the Defense Production Act, which is really exciting because it makes companies that are making stuff for the coronavirus make stuff for coronavirus faster. And I believe that includes vaccines. And I know there's a lot of places that are running out of vaccines right now. I know New York said we're down to our last couple days supply here. And we need more vaccines. And I know the plan is to get 100 million shots in arms. And I know we're on pace for that already. But just taking that step to, again, get the Production Act going is so much more than even the Trump administration was willing to do in the initial days of the coronavirus. And it will make a huge difference right now. I know in the end, they did do the DPA for a few weeks. It was invoked. I think they rescinded it again after a point. But it will be important for us to just keep manufacturing this stuff because, again, we know it's likely. It could only be as awful as Joe Biden said it could be yesterday in his coronavirus conversation with us, or speech to whatever you want to call what yesterday was, where he talked about how it's likely before things get better, they're going to get a lot worse. 500,000 people are likely going to be dead before this is over. It was nice to have that told to us in plain terms, as Dr. Fauci talked about. It was nice to be able to just have the truth and have reality given to us. We can handle it. And it could have been a lot better if the past administration had just done that, but who knows what happens, how things are different if they handle it differently. A lot more people would be alive today, so that would be fucking killer. But it's just wild to think about how different things could have been if someone were willing to just... If we had a person in charge for the past even just 2 years, which is wild because they had an opportunity to have a better person there, and I hate to say that the better person was Mike Pence of all fucking people, but there was a chance the Senate had back a year ago, right before coronavirus happened, to remove this president and to have someone competent behind the wheel for this pandemic, at least semi-competent behind the wheel for this pandemic. And it's interesting to think about how, because Republicans didn't have the stones to do it then, where their party is now. And I know that shouldn't be one of the big things to take away from this and one of the smaller points of it, but you have to think about if Republicans had gone through and removed Donald Trump as president, then would they have lost the Senate in Georgia? Would they have lost, or would they have maybe done better in the House? Maybe would they have taken back that House majority they lost in 2018? What could have been different if they had just gotten Donald Trump out when they had the opportunity?
They gained House majority.
No, I'm talking about Republicans.
Sorry.
Yeah, like how much better they could have done in 2020 had they removed Mike Pence, or Donald Trump, and let Mike Pence be the sole leader of coronavirus. Because though Mike Pence, shitty dude, we've talked about this, Mike Pence at least competent.
Yeah.
And competency was almost all we needed. Like, you've seen countries with other shitty leaders come out competently and do half okay with this.
Well, you know that they were worried about losing Trump's supporters. They were worried that they would lose those votes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the choice they made, and now look at where that party's at. Yeah. Now look where they're like. No, there's a chance that they could have been big winners.
Yeah.
Had they just, and it's the smallest thing to take from this.
Yeah.
It's literally the most unimportant thing to take from everything that's happened in the past 2 years or past year and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
You want to say, or since impeachment at least, since the first impeachment. How much different everything could be if he had just been removed in that first impeachment.
Yeah.
Because like we were saying with Lumineers concert.
Yeah.
Like, how much has changed since the Lumineers concert?
Yeah.
That was right after Trump was allowed to be president.
It could have been,
the rest of his term.
Obviously this is putting it in like incredibly simple terms, but rather than the race being normal versus insane, Biden versus Trump, the race could have been normal versus normal.
Yeah.
And there could have been a lot more.
The outcome is totally different.
The outcome is different.
Outcome is totally different. You have to look at it as that.
Even though Mike Pence has, like, shitty policies and we don't like the policies he stands for.
That doesn't always move people, yeah.
Like, exactly. Putting it in simple terms, it's normal versus normal.
Yeah.
So.
Which could have turned out a lot differently. So, anyway, again, the smallest thing to take from it, but something to take from it. And then I know there's been a lot of concern about how, and talk already of how Republicans are going to work to stop anything from happening with the Biden plans to fix the economy. Good news, most of that can be fixed with a budget resolution where they can just say, well, we're going to do the minimum wage, we're going to do checks to people, we're going to do funding for states, anything that really has to do with money, with some limits, obviously, they'll be able to do via the budget the budgetary reform or what the budgetary thing. I just said it. I forget what it was called already. So there are ways for things to still happen despite Republican efforts to stop things from happening, as we know they will, because the goal for Republicans is to make it as hard for Joe Biden now over the next 2 years to accomplish his policy initiatives, because that way they have a better chance of winning back the House in 2022, which is all Republicans will be playing for the next 2 years. And it's important to keep that in mind whenever you hear them making bad faith debates. Last thing I think we'll talk about today, or one of last things we'll talk about today. Did I say we were going to talk about anything else? Did I cover all my bases? I've been trying to be better about covering all my bases on this. I always get in too deep with topics, and then, we don't get to all the topics, and then I feel like we missed all the topics. But obviously, one president had to leave. Two presidents walk into a bar, one leaves. And the one who left had to be Trump, which was really exciting. Gave a very ho-hum farewell to the people, leaving us all speculating where he'll be soon. Where he spoke to like a small crowd of people at an Air Force base, his favorite thing to do. Yeah. Air Force One left behind him. They played My Way. Everybody laughed, and that was the end of the Trump administration. But it's funny because in his closing remarks, he said to his supporters who were there, "We'll be back. We love you. We'll be back. Have a nice life.
We'll be back in some capacity.
Some capacity. Have a nice life. We love you. Goodbye." And then he left.
Which is not something you say after saying we'll be back. Like, can we just point that out? You don't say we'll be back, have a nice life. You say have a nice life to someone who you're never going to see again.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's not that thought out to think that that's like what that is.
I think Donald Trump realized in the past, over this election cycle, that winning an election and doing president stuff and everything he thought wasn't real work, I think he had in his mind that he was just going to get to let other people run the country for him, and maybe he essentially did, and he had just shitty, awful people doing it, but they were his people, and he wanted them there doing it because they would do it that way, which is probably too much credit to him.
I think he just wanted to make speeches.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to make speeches, but I think he realized how much work all of this actually is. I don't think he ever wants to be president again. I think Donald Trump just wants to start his media company, maybe get one of his kids involved, always be a background voice, but I wouldn't be surprised if in, 10 years when Donald Trump is just, aging out and, maybe hopefully not around anymore, that they'll ask him, maybe he'll be at, a fucking Knicks game for some reason. He'll be back in New York, he'll be at a Knicks game.
I don't think he's going to come to New York for a while.
Or, that's what I'm saying, 10 years or so, down the road. Maybe the Knicks will be playing the Heat, and they'll go and they'll ask him to comment on the current political state. Maybe AOC will be running for Senate or some shit. Or will she be old enough to be running for president then? I don't know.
In 10 years, yeah.
And I like to imagine that they'll ask him the question, "Oh, what do you think about this?" And he'll just give us that classic Donnie grin and just shake his hands at us and say, "I don't want to talk about it," and that'll just be it. I just have this wonderful idea in my head, this beautifully naive idea in my head that he just doesn't want anything to do with it anymore, that he's just sick and tired of it. And I want that to be so true, because we're all safer that way.
I think it's more likely to be what you were saying before, that he'll create a media company or do something where he gets to be some sort of pundit, because that's always been his favorite thing. His favorite thing has always been to stick his nose in business that he has no business being in. They have the Central Park Five. He was calling for the Central Park Five to be killed even after they had been proven innocent. He
just lived in the neighborhood.
He just lived in the neighborhood. It had nothing to do with him. That's his whole thing, has always been just being controversial, commenting on things that have nothing to do with him, So I think that's probably how he wants to live the rest of his life. And there was even a speech he was giving on the campaign trail that was circulating Twitter of him saying, what am I going to do if I don't win this? This is what I love. I love doing this. Basically called out that he just loves riling people up.
He just likes the talking. He just likes to rile folks up.
He literally lives for the applause. He just likes people.
He is the Joker.
He is.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Is that what we ended on?
Yeah, sure.
Do we have anything else?
I don't know.
Any parting shots from you?
No, I don't know. I hope we never hear from him again. I'm sure we will.
I hope that naive idea I have comes true.
I hope the naive idea you have comes true. I think more reasonably what will happen is he'll take off we won't hear from him for maybe a couple months if we're lucky. And then, well, I don't think we'll hear from him until after the impeachment trial, because I think if he is able to find a lawyer, they're probably telling him, keep your goddamn mouth shut because you don't have presidential immunity anymore, so you really can't be saying stuff as wildly as you were before. I mean, where would he say his things wildly, though?
It's funny because we were just talking this morning about how the deplatforming has been really effective, but also how Republicans are trying to, because you brought up the legal challenges he'll face outside of the White House. Republicans are trying to stall impeachment, which is now happening on Monday. Very exciting. We will have the hearing in the Senate on Monday. Because Trump can't even get a goddamn legal team together. He can't find a group of lawyers willing to defend him on the charge that he started an insurrection with his words. And the bad news for him is that if he can't find any lawyers, any decent lawyers to argue that he didn't cause that riot, he very much caused that riot. So I think Donald Trump is also where he's in a lot of trouble. We know the state of New York, or the city of New York, has a lot of criminal complaints against him. They have their criminal filings against him. They will be going after him, and he didn't pardon himself. He didn't pardon any family members. So we're just going to have to see what happens. But hopefully this is the last time we talk about Donald Trump on this program for at least 3 years before he tries to run in 2024 out of nowhere. So that is very, very exciting. So we're going to close out. Wish everybody a good week. Have a good week. We'll see you next week for, I guess, the end of week 1 of Biden's America. So we'll be back then. Hopefully it'll still be good vibes all around, but who knows? Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've made it this far, you've listened to me and Giovanna drone on for 45 minutes or more now. You might as well subscribe to hear us do it again next week. See you then. Have a good one.